Over the last few weeks, we've heard about Daniel's adventures as he's traveled around the world. Daniel was looking for people of a particular attribute. Do you remember what it was? That's right. He wanted to find out if there were even 3 people sillier than Lena, the woman he wanted to marry, and her parents, William and Tricia. Daniel's mother, Beth, said it would be beneficial for Daniel to marry a girl who was happy and helpful and just a little bit silly. You might think the converse, that a wife shouldn't be silly, but Beth believed that Daniel could lead a long and joyful life with a happy, helpful woman who was just a little bit silly. So we know that Daniel met 2 very silly people, a woman who wanted to get her cow on the roof and a man who tried to jump into his trousers. These 2 were definitely, for sure, sillier than Lena. But the story I have for you today, my friends, well, it takes the cake. I'm going to tell you about the time Daniel met the silliest people in the world and decided it was to his benefit to go home to marry Lena. But you don't have to believe me. You can do the assessment yourself. It all began in a little village. Well, I should say it was a pond just outside of a little village. At the pond, Daniel came to a crowd of people. They were engaged in various activities. He saw people eating, singing, reading, and sleeping. Others were cutting long branches from the trees and holding them out over the pond, letting them drop into the pond, then dragging them back to the shore at the edge of the pond. They might have been trying to extract something from the pond, thought Daniel. Daniel wanted to find out what was going on, so he took a path around the pond, stopping to converse with people as he went. The first person he spoke to offered him an enormous piece of cake. That was to Daniel's benefit because he was very hungry. "It's delicious. Thank you," mumbled Daniel as he ate the cake. The cake baker just smiled and Daniel walked on. Inevitably, Daniel came to the folks who were reaching the long sticks out into the pond and pulling them back. "What's going on here?" he asked when he approached one fellow. "Oh, we've got a big problem. Last night, the moon fell into the pond. We only have a few hours to get it and put it back in the sky before night falls." Daniel laughed uproariously. "I like the joke, my friend, but now be serious. Tell me what's really going on here," said Daniel. The man became rigid with anger. "I am being serious," the man yelled. "We have a big problem here. If you're not prepared to assist us, then you need to get out of our way." Shocked, Daniel nevertheless stumbled on. He would ask the next person to explain. Surely everyone here wasn't silly enough to believe the moon had fallen into the pond. But the converse was true. The next person talked about the moon in the pond, and so did the next one and the one after that. Unbelievably, everybody he talked to believed the moon had fallen into the pond. Daniel spoke loudly so everyone could hear. "Dear people, please listen carefully to what I have to say." Many people ceased their work and sat down to relax and listen to him. "The moon is a wondrous thing. It goes through changes, and sometimes it's a full, bright circle in the sky, and other times it's nothing but a tiny sliver. When the full moon is bright in the sky, you can see its shadow in the water. It might look like the moon is in the water, but I assure you it is not. It's just the moon's shadow." The crowd became very quiet as the people assessed Daniel's speech. Daniel anticipated cheering and congratulations for being so clever in explaining about the moon. Consequently, he was sadly disappointed and surprised when he saw the people's reaction. They turned ugly. They shouted angrily. Furthermore, they began to push Daniel away with a stick. Daniel knew he needed to get out of there. So you won't be surprised to hear that Daniel decided there was only one way to proceed. He ran for his life. A couple miles down the road, Daniel stopped and reassessed. He thought of all the people he had met. The woman with the cow, the man with the trousers, and all those very silly people at the pond. He didn't need great deductive skills to decide that there were many people in the world sillier than Lena, the woman he wanted to marry. And Lena was happy and helpful too. She would make the perfect wife. Yippee! Exclaimed Daniel. I know just what I need to do. And without any further reluctance, he made his way home. First, Daniel went to see his mother, Beth. Mother, he shouted when he arrived, I have found the perfect woman to become my wife. Come along with me so you can meet her. Not long after, Beth and Daniel arrived at the home of Lena and her parents, William and Tricia. What a surprise when Lena's father, William, and Daniel's mother, Beth, recognized that they knew each other and recalled being such good friends when they were young. Now I know Lena is the right woman for my son, Daniel, said Beth. You and I had such a good friendship, William. It seems almost inevitable that Lena and Daniel should be together, said Beth. In the meantime, Daniel walked over to Lena. Will you marry me, dear Lena? I know now that you will be my perfect wife. You are happy and helpful, but you're just a little bit silly too. We will live a long and joyful life together. And inevitably, they did just that.